Okay, so hello to my YouTube subscribers. I am Bianca Spriggs, CEO of Bright and Brave Enterprises. And this is just a practice run. I'm just practicing how to go live on different forms of media. So get used to seeing this lovely face. And make sure you tell people to subscribe to my channel. This channel is meant for a variety of things. However, my sole purpose is to encourage black stay-at-home moms. And I encourage every form, every mother, every type of mother, different skin color. However, I just noticed throughout looking on social media that there's not too many outlets for black stay-at-home moms. There's not too many places where you can, because we relate to each other by identifying to each other with each other, and we basically go off of our eyes. So if we kind of see somebody that doesn't look like us talking about the things that we face every day, we tend to kind of shut down and not receive what they're saying. Some of us do, not all of us. So that's why I just wanted to create a platform for us as a sister circle, as well as create a platform for just encouragement for millennials. I feel like this is definitely needed because we always go by what we see. Anyway, let me get to my point. So I had a thought today. Last night was a little rough for me because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and stay-at-home moms, they don't really get they don't get any days off. Like, how you come home from work and you're like, okay, I'm getting a break from work. Like, there is no break for being a stay-at-home mom. Like, you're always on, you're always moving, you're always thinking about how you can better make something better, fix something, blah blah blah. So last night was a little rough for me. So when I woke up, I had some stinking thinking. And especially on paydays, because payday is like, ooh, you got some money, but you already got to go pay all these bills, and sometimes you just not feeling that. And sometimes that can be depressing because you're like, I'm just working just to pay bills. Like, I'm not working to explore and have, enjoy the fruits of my labor. And that kind of sucks sometimes. So anywho, I had a moment where by the way, I am 4 months postpartum. So, as I will not claim that I have postpartum depression, I will say that there are some things there that I'm like, oh, okay, I do that sometimes too. I do that sometimes too. Um, so yeah, so I will say that I have moments where postpartum depression may try to show up in my life. So, quick story. Woke up and just felt so overwhelmed. I felt so overwhelmed because I'm just like, this is not what I imagined my life to be. Like, God, you told me to stay home. I didn't volunteer to do this because I've always been a very independent person. I've always, I've worked since I was 14 years old. So this is like my first time actually sitting home and doing something other than that benefits my family, other than what benefits everyone else's family, if that makes sense. So just woke up feeling overwhelmed with all of that. And so sometimes our spouses, they kind of pluck nerves, or they kind of, yeah, they I'm just gonna say it, they kind of pluck nerves that we kind of don't want to deal with. So that was a little bit of some of that going on this morning. And it was a me thing. It wasn't a him thing. It was a me thing. Like, and that's what we have to do as people. Sometimes we got to stop taking things so personal and thinking, it's them against me, or no, they're going through something. Something's going on with inside of them. So let me figure out what I can do to help, or let me just be quiet and not say nothing at all. But so that happened, and what happened after that? Oh yes, I come out in the living room, and I'm just trying to get some kind of scripture in me, and that's why it's important that you read, even when you're feeling good. Like, you spend time with God, even when everything is going the way that it should go. Like, you should still always read, because stuff comes up and you have to be able to deal with it. And I have this voice in my head telling me that you can't fall apart. You don't have time to fall apart. Like, when you fall apart, you waste time. And I don't have time to waste time because I got goals, and I just can't push off the energy onto my children. So try to read. It was like it's not working. Like it's not really working for me right now. So then my daughter comes up. She wakes up and she peed on herself. And I'm like so mad because I'm like, again, like she has been peeing on herself for the maybe about the past 2 or 3 nights every night. And that's like, come on, girlfriend. Like, we got you trained to get up and go to the bathroom. You have to pee. But as her parent, it's my responsibility to make sure that she goes to the bathroom quite frequently in her sleep. So even though she's 2 years old and I expect for her to know that, she's 2 years old. She doesn't know that. So it's my responsibility to make sure I wake up 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, make sure that she goes to the bathroom so she doesn't, give me, pluck a nerve when she wakes up. So anyway, that was frustrating. And when she pees on herself, she's like very whiny and very like, take a deep breath. Like she's one of those children when she pees on herself like that. So I had a moment. I'm just like feeling very like, I'm feeling a lot of rage because I'm like, I don't need to hear you crying right now. Just be quiet. Da, 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 da. By the way, I have a 2-year-old. For some people who don't know my background, and I have a 4-month-old. So the 4-month-old is still sleeping. Marley doesn't want to take her pee-pee clothes off, so that's a little, frustrating for me. So I just walk out and I said, Mommy needs to walk away because Mommy's feeling very overwhelmed. Mommy's gonna close the door, and Mommy's gonna go bye-bye for a little bit, okay? So she's crying, and I couldn't worry about that. Like I couldn't worry about her crying. Like I explained to her what was going on. It's not like, I yelled at her or anything. She'll be all right. I just have to get away because I don't want to get into that space where I take that anger. I will not say my anger because it does not belong to me because I have joy, peace, and prosperity. So I would say that anger tries to push itself off on Marley, and I will not do that to my child. So I go in the room. Luckily, we have this big old closet, and our closet is inside our bathroom. So it's like it's a barrier, like 3 barriers, where I can't hear her crying, and I can just have a moment, and I can just cry. She can't hear me crying. So I'm just like crying, woo-hoo, whoop-de-doo, woo-me, playing the world's smallest violin. And, I start reading. And the scripture that kept coming to my mind was, they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, and they shall mount their wings. Something like some scripture like that. And I think that was in Isaiah 40. So then, with the Bible, sometimes they have they put in abbreviations after a verse. They put what scripture correlates with that scripture. So it's like proof of the pudding, pretty much. So there was a New Testament scripture. And that was in Hebrews 12. And what stood out to me after I read this, while I was crying, weeping and crying, I read this. I'm going to read it for y'all. It's Hebrews. I suggest you read the whole Hebrews 12, but what really stuck out to me that I want to share with y'all is it says that looking away from all that will distract to Jesus, who is the leader and the source of our faith, giving the first incentive for our belief, and is also its finisher, bringing it to maturity and perfection. He, for the joy of obtaining the prize that was set before him, endured the cross, despising and ignoring the shame, and is now seated at the right hand, the throne of God. Also, I'm going to read 3 too. Just think of him who endured from sinners such grievous opposition and bitter hostility against himself. Reckon up and consider it all in comparison with your trials. I'm going to read that little parenthesis part again. Reckon up and consider it all in comparison with your trials, so that you may not grow weary or exhausted, losing heart and relaxing and fainting in your minds. This is so good, y'all. I'm going to read 4, and I promise I'm going to stop. You have not yet struggled and fought anxiously, against sin, nor have you yet resisted and withstood to the point of your pouring out of your own blood. So pretty much they're talking about that Jesus suffered so much that he began to bleed, like he sweated blood, he sweated blood, like it wasn't like oops, I got a boo-boo, like no, like that's how intense it was. And he was being blamed for things that he did not do. So imagine how he's getting persecuted, taking fault for everything that for everything. Okay, I'll get it. Marley wants her biscuit, y'all. So he's being blamed for everything that's not true, pretty much. So basically, pretty much he's being lied on. So we have some situations in our life where we're not being lied on. Sometimes situations in our life, they're just consequences for our actions. Here, Marley. You can sit in the big girl chair because mommy's not going to pick you up. So, as I was reading that scripture, I was just crying and laughing at the same time because one thing I do know is the reason why God has, told me to sit home. It's not just to take care of my family. It's for me to get rid of some stuff that's been deep, deep inside of me for a very, very long time. So it benefits everyone because if I deal with the stuff that's in me, then my children don't have to suffer from that. So that's my mind is not all over the place. I'm going to rewind and go over some key points because I know that I tagged how to overcome depression. And this is how you can overcome postpartum depression in general. Flood your mind with positivity. If you have to get out the house, if you have to be around people that make you laugh. For me, scriptures is what floods, I have to flood my mind because all these little darts, those arrows were flying toward my mind this morning where it was like, this is it. Like, this is never going to be enough. Like, I'm so sick of doing this. All of these words were popping up in my mind and it was sounding like my voice, but it was not my voice. It was the enemy's voice because sometimes he knows how to disguise himself to make it seem like that's you, but that's really not you. So I was, aware enough to be like, wait a minute, these are not my thoughts. No, this is crazy. So I had to go in my prayer closet and I had to go release and let it out and speak some things that were not as though they were. So you have to flood your mind with positivity. You have to flood your mind with what the opposite of what you're hearing. Because if you just sit there, just imagine, like that happened at 7 o'clock this morning. It is now 10:55. Just imagine if I had just allowed those thoughts to linger, it would have gotten a lot worse. So you got to be aware enough that you can stop it in its tracks and you have to identify it. And you have to tell it to go. And that's what I did. I told it to go because depression does not belong to me. Anger does not belong to me. Frustration, irritability does not belong to me. So you got to use this. This is a powerful thing. Ancient proverbs say it. Scriptures say it. Even these old sayings that people are always saying about the pink tornado. It's powerful. It's powerful. And the atmosphere is waiting on you to shift some things. And that's what I had to do this morning. I had to shift some things. I had to flood my mind with positivity. And you have to keep flooding your mind. Don't just flood your mind when it gets bad. Flood your mind on the good days, because even on the after you do it on the good days, it's going to be a lot easier to receive when you're at a place of struggle. It's going to be a lot easier to receive those words when you're at a place of struggle. And I read pretty good. You gotta use the bathroom? You sure? I read pretty good, pretty decent. So that's why it wasn't that hard for me to be to receive what I was reading, but it was a little difficult. So again, Hebrews 12. I would recommend that you read the whole entire chapter. But Hebrews 12 is telling us that God is removing things out of our lives that could possibly distract us from our relationship from Him. And I know in the long haul, that's a part of my purpose of staying at home, is so that I can remove all the distractions, because I am an entrepreneur. I am a multimillionaire. I am, in Jesus' name, I am all those things. So, hey, Marcus. So with all that being said, in order for me to be able to operate in those things that I declare, I have to figure out the treasures of my heart. The treasures of my heart. I like to spend money. The treasures of my heart. I like to look nice. But who do I like to look nice for? Am I doing it for myself, or am I doing it for Instagram or Facebook for you older millennials. So yeah, I just want to share that. This is how you overcome depression. For one, especially if you have multiple children, even if you have one, remove yourself from the situation. Go somewhere far away. Go into the closet, close the door, blast some music so you don't hear your baby crying and you're like, what's wrong with you? I just want to fix it. I want to help you. Just go to a different place. Once you get to that place, flood your mind with positivity. Flood your mind with positivity. For me, it's scriptures. I recommend that you use scriptures too, but for me, it's scriptures. If you don't know where to start, go on Google and say scriptures about depression, or hey Siri, find me scriptures about depressions. Like, do that, because we all start from somewhere. Some of us were not raised in the church, so some of us don't really know where to start. So that's where you start. You start at Google. And you type in whatever you're feeling, put scriptures behind it, and then go to the Bible and find it. You can download the Bible app because it's wherever you are. It goes wherever you are. So remove yourself, flood your mind with positivity, and continue to flood your mind with positivity. So I'm signing out. This is way longer than 10 minutes. I try to do my videos under 10 minutes, but I talk a lot sometimes. So don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Bright and Brave Enterprises. Also, don't forget to follow me at subscribe to my YouTube channel. Duh. Please share this stuff, y'all, because people need this. If it don't relate to you, just share it anyway, because this is what I'm doing. Bye-bye. Signing out. Bright and Brave Enterprises. See you guys later on Soulful Sunday. Bye-bye.